Hello, and welcome to this episode of Our Ventura TV. I'm your host, Monique Nowlin. Today, I'll be talking with Denise Carter, a local comedian and podcast personality who is a subject matter expert in laughter. And that's just what she's here to talk about with us today, the power of laughter and the role it plays in our overall wellness. Welcome, Denise. We're glad to have you.
Oh, welcome to me being here. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So, Denise, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you a subject matter expert in laughter?
So I am Denise Carter, born and raised in Port Hueneme, living in Oxnard, and I work in healthcare. So I work with a home health hospice company, and it's kind of a heavy lift. And I think what makes me a subject matter expert is I started doing stand-up comedy just to deal with that heavy lift. I think what I want to say is one day my father was given 6 months or left to live. And the best way that I could deal with that as being one of 8 children in a house that didn't really understand the journey, even though I worked in that industry, the end of life journey, I thought, what would be the best way to give my father some comfort? And the only comfort I could see is, how can I make him laugh? And I saw that there was an ad in the paper and it said, become a comedian in 6 weeks. And I thought, for $350. And I looked at my dad and I said, hey, what if I became a comedian and talked about your kids? And from his hospital bed in his living room, he said, you should do it. And since 2012, that's what I've been doing.
Wow, what a wonderful story. And you talked about the heavy lift, and all of us, no matter where we are in life, we go through stress and anxiety. How can laughter improve our mental well-being?
Well, if you think about it, laughter is one of those things where once you start to laugh, it increases your dopamine. And so your serotonin levels kind of go up. And we, sometimes in our office, we just start doing what I call laugh therapy. We kind of go, and it becomes contagious. And so then people, what are we laughing about? We're laughing because we're feeling good. Because sometimes we are having those, these days with social media, with all the things that are going on, people are distracted. You have to bring it back. And sometimes we do this kind of a humming thing. And all that, what it does is it changes your atmosphere. It changes your internal organs, right? You think about something different. Everything that's heavy, it becomes a little lighter.
And that's interesting, because that was one of the questions I had for you, and our audience wants to know, is how do you intentionally bring the power of laughter into your life, even if you're not feeling particularly happy that day?
I think for me, what I see is I see that if we find a happy place, right? Maybe the living room might be a little bit dark. You go outside, you take a walk, you get yourself lifted up, because there's and I wrote it down, there's an oxygen-rich air, and it triggers the hormones in your body to keep you uplifted. And I wrote it down, it's the vagus nerve stimulator. That's what it is. And what that does is it makes you happier. Most people don't even think about it because they might be kind of at a lull, and they're at this place in their life where they just, everything is too much. So you got to get out of that particular norm. You got to walk, you got to talk to someone who's a little more uplifting than just the regular people you're hanging out with. And even if it's yourself, because sometimes we put on the TV, that might be a little depressing. But if you laugh a little bit more, I guarantee you'll feel better. Even if you don't, that's why you can just laugh about anything. It could be something on TV. But if you start to laugh a little bit, it's contagious. And I just think it makes you feel better.
Well, it sure is, because when you were laughing earlier, I actually started getting happier and started laughing. I'm like, what am I laughing about? So no, it's so true. And I know you've shared a little bit about the power of laughter in your own life and how you use it for your own wellness. But along that same vein, can you share a specific moment when laughter made a real difference in your life or of the life of someone you know? Like a real life example?
So I had a nurse that I work with, and she had to pronounce a patient. she pronounced the patient. She came to the office.
And pronounce a patient. Can you be
That's
more
when a
specific?
patient passes away, and she has to pronounce the time and get the patient ready for the coroner. She did all that, and then she came in the office, and she was feeling down. And I said, "Hey, what's going on?" She said, "I had a patient just pass away." And I said, "What can I do?" She goes, "I'm just feeling down." And I gave her a hug, and I hugged her, and then I did a countdown, 10, 9, 8. "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm counting down." And when I got to 1, I started laughing. And then she started laughing. "I've not done this before." And I said, what it is we are going to change your internal feelings and bring that to laughter. Because if we could do that, because every time someone passes away and they've made a connection, they take a little piece of them with them because they've connected with that person. And we want to bring it back because that journey that person was on, you helped them get through, that journey. And you did all the things you know to do right. So let's bring you back up and bring back your happiness, because if not for you, she probably wouldn't have had that safe journey through the process that she went through.
Wow, what a really powerful example of the power of laughter. And I also was wondering, when you were doing the countdown, I was like, what is the countdown? So no, thank you for sharing that.
The countdown is because when people get, it's like timeout, right? You put your kids in timeout and they're mad. But what if you counted down someone to bring up a different feeling? And that's really what I was doing. I was changing the atmosphere.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what I think laughter does. My husband and I, we have a podcast, and what we do with the podcast, he's an introvert and I'm extrovert, so it works really well. And sometimes I have to pull conversation out of him, but now he's gotten to a point where he is even laughing through this podcast, which is not his norm. He was in the military. He was one that really, his focus was very serious because he was a mechanic. He fixed things. But when you can't fix people, you got to find that happy medium. So I think having that opportunity to sit down and laugh and talk with our guests, it makes a huge difference. And I think, I used to think about comedy and tragedy, right? There's a fine line there. People always talk about they're sad, they're happy. Where's the medium? Where's that fine line? The fine line is when you can find it, and you don't have to stay one place or the other. Get right there in the middle. And I think that's where the happy spot is. That's where that spot is, where dopamine kind of makes you feel better. And you're like, it's like runners. They go out and they run a marathon, and you're wondering, why are they so happy? I don't want to run 8 miles. Why would I want to do that? But that's where it is. It's the exact same thing, but it's in laughter.
Wow, so the power of laughter really is interwoven in everything that you do, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, everyone gets sad, and it's how you react to the sadness. How can you pull yourself out of it? It's almost like depression. Some people go to therapy. I like to go to a comedy show.
Love that. Well, Denise, if there's one thing you can impress upon the viewers, one salient point, what would that one thing be?
Don't take life so serious. And just remember, it all ends the same way for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's all the time we have left for today's show. I'd like to thank Denise for sharing the power of laughter with us. My name is Monique Nowlin, and until next time, thank you for watching Our Ventura TV.